Go ahead. Parang kampanya, no? Tama-tama, mag-election na. But I'm really super happy that all of you are here. Thank you so much for making it, despite it being a Saturday, family day, the traffic, and it's so hard to park here, but you're here. And I really thank you all for being here. I also thank, special thanks also to my dad, Dr. Ned Roberto. Dad is here. So I want to honor my dad, who I actually dedicated this book to. So my entrepreneurial journey wouldn't have happened and be complete without my dad, who mentored me in many ways that he knows. When I started my first business, he funded it, and I lost everything. And he didn't ask for his investment back or payment back, but he just allowed me to really learn lessons on my own. And so I really want to honor and thank my dad for that. This book is really about, if you read it or have read part of it, it's really about a mentee, okay, named Eddie, who finds himself at the end of his rope. He's depressed, he's suicidal, his business has failed, his girlfriend left him. Spoiler alert. But he's really at the end of his rope and suicidal. And by divine opportunity, he gets to meet a kind, benevolent mentor named Timothy, okay, who takes him on and guides him through the ins and outs of businesses, but not just business, but also the ins and outs of life. How to be really successful, and truly happy as an entrepreneur. And it's a special book because it took me 2 years to write. 2 years, the first 2 years, it was originally named Success Mindsets of Entrepreneurs. And as an entrepreneur, I also volunteer for Go Negosyo and speak about entrepreneurship and the mindsets of entrepreneurs all over the country. So as I was speaking there, I was thinking to myself, and people would ask me, there's a book of that talk, of that presentation. So I started writing and putting down those thoughts together for 2 years. But then I realized that I didn't want this book to be just like any other book that I just, like a laundry list of attitudes to have. So one day I was in Hawaii, I was teaching there, and I was teaching a writing class there for leaders. And I was thinking to myself, I should make this book really special. And I was praying, and the idea of Paul and Timothy came to mind. Paul, who mentors Timothy. And that's where I got the name, that's why the mentor's name is actually Timothy. And Eddie is, my full name is actually Eduardo. So Eddie he's someone like me who I wish had a mentor when I was starting out. I had my dad, I had other people, pero it's like I wrote this book to reach out to all of the Eddies of the world who are out there desperate for someone to teach them about life, not just business but about life. So in this book, it was inspired by several people who I met along the way. I started as an entrepreneur in year 2000. So it's been 18 years. I started a company called Salt and Light Ventures. We brought in organized conferences featuring John Maxwell, Tom Peters, Al Rees, and the like. And of course my dad. And we would organize workshops, seminars. And so that was my journey. That was my journey in entrepreneurship. And it's been 18 long years. And now I just wanted to have an opportunity to share that in a book that would not just be a laundry list, but actually a work of fiction or a novel that introduces Eddie and Timothy and takes them along that journey where they get to meet real-life entrepreneurs. So one of them is here, one of the entrepreneurs that are featured in the book that I was allowed to divulge is Dylan Wilk. So Dylan, I'll speak more about them in a little while. I have a mastermind group that I meet every month. So I consider these people also my mentors. And we share ideas, we share our heartaches, we share our pain and problems in the business. And these people actually, Joe Magsaysay is here. Joe Magsaysay is the founder, co-founder of Potato Corner. So you can find some parts of Joe Magsaysay in Timothy, who builds a conglomerate of big food business. So Joe Mag, you're part of this book. And also, I also meet with Nelson Terrible. Nelson is also part of our mastermind group. He's an entrepreneur who started Balai Isabel. Okay. How many of you been to Balai Isabel? Yeah. Okay. Marami pang customers dito. And how many of you have tried Potato Corner? Yes. And how many of you have tried Human Nature? So maraming times. And of course, we have here the Rose Among the Thorns, Rosemary or Ut Rafael. She's a serial entrepreneur. She's into food. She's actually the first woman leader in the logistics industry. She owns AirSpeed and 105 different companies. Something like that. So, she's Latina also. And there are other entrepreneurs who are here that want to acknowledge. But maybe also, John Mag and Dylan can also maybe sit here para balance tayo. So I wanted to make this into not just a launch, but I wanted to add value to all of you. Just also by inviting the people who inspired me to write this book and also those who are featured here. And we'll have some kind of like open forum. Okay?
Tighter.
Okay, parang diretso ka na? Alright, yeah, okay. Sorry, naagawa kita ng host na. Okay, so that's the final program na, no? Okay, so open forum na. So, so yun, I want to thank also those who are here. Dr. Chris also. Dr. Chris, can you stand up? He's my hero. You can find his name also in the book, in the last chapter. He's a health entrepreneur. He founded Rafa Health. Familiar with Rafa Health? He's into the health tourism, right? And also our Nina and Nina, also in the training industry. Avelin and Vic Garcia, thank you for coming. Ayan. Ang dami na dito pag maubos yung oras pag and also my project author students who are here, thank you. Ayan. So we just came from a workshop on how to write a book. Okay, so, yeah. So at this point, I'd like to invite one by one our panelists who are here for part of the book to answer just one question in maybe 2 minutes. Okay. The book talks about struggles. It talks about trials in life and how Eddie, the character, overcomes those trials. So the question that we want to ask of you, we can have another mic also. Starting, siguro ladies first, is this question. Okay. What was the most difficult challenge or trial in your life as an entrepreneur, and how did you overcome it?
Okay. Wow, Ardy. Matagal na noon. Kasi 33 years na ang logistics. I started in the logistics industry. And when I started 33 years ago, it was a male-dominated industry. So I was one of the very few women that really went into the logistics. And it was difficult in a way because I was not taken seriously. I was looked at, sino ba to? Anong kaya niyang gawin? So I had to work double time, triple time. I had to prove myself, and at the same time when I was starting, I really didn't have a lot of funding. But funding is also a critical element there. But I was able to overcome it because I believed in what I was doing. And I know the why behind what I was doing. And I really went through it. And I think one of the things that we have to have as an entrepreneur is having that grit. Or like yung walang bibigay or walang do not give up. even when the challenges are so way high that you just don't know what to do, then just do not give up. And one of the rules that I have lived by is really having an expectant heart. So that no matter what, I expect good things to happen. I expect blessings to come. And even if, let's say, the things that I don't want to happen, happened, and the things that I want to happen did not happen, I still look at it as preparation time.
Wow.
So, yeah, 33 years of preparation time.
And you started when you were just 10 years old?
Exactly. Hindi naman halata yan, di ba? Okay. So, that's basically it. But, to put the ano on that, after a few years, I was recognized as the first woman president of the Air Freight Cargo Forwarding Association.
Thank you. Dylan Wilk. Okay, I'd like to acknowledge also those two special people just joined us. To my extreme left is Sandy Montano. And she is part of this book. Her story is on page chapter 16. Okay, I met Sandy on a flight to Davao, Mati, and she shared with me her story. She's an entrepreneur who started a remarkable company training people how to respond to disasters, because she was a survivor of the Baguio earthquake. She was buried under the rubble for 3 days and survived. So I have a question for you for that. And of course, our guardian angel in the industry. Let's all welcome also DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez. Thank you, Sir Ramon, for coming, bossing. So, maraming stories dito in the book that were inspired by the Go Negosyo movement. When Ramon and I, when he was still the executive director of Go Negosyo, we used to go and travel to Zamboanga, Mindanao, so many places together just to preach the gospel of entrepreneurship right there. And so we spent many dinners and late nights together making kwento to each other. So thank you, Secretary Juan, thank you so much. Yeah. So the question that we were asking is, what was the most difficult challenge or trial, and how did you overcome it? Okay, so we'll come back that way. So siguro we'll go alternate, all right? So, Joma, could you answer that?
Unang challenge sa akin was well, the first challenge was for me on a personal basis was I didn't finish college, so I never had a degree when I started my career. So I couldn't find work. I could find work, but not the work that I wanted. So I ended up trying to sell many things, sell cardboard, cartons everywhere, buy watches for other employees, and then on a installment basis. Mahirap pala mangolekta ng utang. That's my challenge. It was a challenge. Next challenge, when I was invited to put up potato corn, I didn't have money. So I was looking for money. My older brother didn't want to lend me money. I knew he had money, but he didn't want to lend me. I don't know, maybe older brothers don't like to lend younger brothers for whatever reason. Finally I was able to borrow, and it was it. Next challenge, we didn't have enough money my partners and I didn't have enough money to grow the business. So, not by choice, but by necessity, we went to franchise. Now we didn't realize that was the one that would take Potato Corner to the next level, franchising. So, and until now we're still franchising. That's our business model, and this is our business model for the next 20 years again. Potato Corner is now 27 years, and we faced so many challenges. And one key key habit that we as a company do every time we're faced with a big challenge was always to seek help. Help from friends, help from consultants, help from Go Negosyo, help from RD, help from many people, and help from God.
Amen, Brother Roman. Thank you. If you want to buy a franchise of Botita Corner, you can also line up later. Okay. Ikaw naman, Nelson.
Sa akin siguro I have so many challenges when I was starting my business. Kasi unang-una, when I started it was in 1981.
This is Balai Isabel.
1981, no, not Balai Isabel. That was Technoasia. I fell in love with construction, but the construction, I don't have any experience with construction except the house that I built. So, and 1981 was not a good time to start business. My friends were telling me it's not a good time to start business. Martial law, recession, etc. Magulo. And it was difficult. Started with 50,000 pesos capitalization. So I started getting small contracts. We did handyman services for subdivisions here in Makati, some offices. And that's how we started hanggang magsimula kami ng property development. But napakaraming challenges because in the first place, I am an accountant by profession. I used to work in the bank. So I had to learn the ropes. I had to learn everything by myself. At the same time, maraming financial challenges kasi yun yung time na money was not easy to come by. But through the years, there was a time, lalo na nung Asian crisis in 1997, I've been asked by a lot of friends na kung hindi ko may consider na mag-iba ng career, mag-iba ng negosyo. But this one is nasa puso ko yung what I'm doing is something that I love. Parang I cannot part with it. So, I believe in what I've been doing. Lagi ko lang sinasabi, do things differently because everybody is doing the same thing. Everybody is doing housing packages. But I think yung key ng survival namin is be different. Come up with different packages. So nagsimula kami noong 2000, we came up ang tawag ko noon crisis-proof packages because real estate construction business has been rocked by crisis after crisis. Mula pa nung panahon ni Belda, nag-pilot siya housing project siya. Every now and then may mga crisis So we have to come up with packages na wala nang crisis. Maski anong mangyari, you'd be able to stand in your own. So after 36 years, happy entrepreneur, yung ba rin, masaya, and I think we're able to accomplish what we've set out to accomplish. I think that's all.
Thank you, Nelson. Okay. Sandy. Siguro wala nang tataas doon sa challenge na maburo sa ilalim ng lupa ng 3 araw.
Good afternoon to each and everyone. I am Sandy Montano. By profession, I'm a nurse. I just joined the government last March. I am the newly appointed commissioner for Philippine Commission on Women. I'm happy to see Secretary Mon wearing violet. Kasi yan po ang color, pati yung shoes namin. Yan po ang color ng PCW. Ayun. So, actually, nung nga pong na-receive ko yung aking appointment, sabi ko, sino kaya nagpahamak sa akin dito? Because private, on my private life, I've been doing a lot of things already. Like, when I set up the company, I call it CHEERS. Community Health Education Emergency Rescue and Safety Services. We're dealing with a lot of emergency disaster calamity. So, this is not a woman industry. This is a man's industry. Kaya nga po, ang challenges ko is that every time that there's a disaster, at kasabay po akong pupunta sa C-130 in NDRMC, sabi nila, huwag niyo isakay si Sandy, liability yan. Baka yan maarte sa ganito, ganon. So, I have to form my platform. So I set up first the foundation. So Back in the States, I was working as a registered nurse. I'm a USRN. It's a glory days of nurses. We live a good life in the States, but every time nalalaman ko sa mga kamag-anak namin na meron na namang may earthquake, may typhoon, may kung ano nung landslide, parang kinikilit yung pako na uuwi. So pag uuwi kami dito, we can do just so many, very limited time at saka yung resources. So until such time, 2006, we plan to set up the foundation. And then 2 years within that period, I have seen there's a problem when it comes to practice because there's no formal training on paramedic course yet. So yung mga nakikita natin dati na mga naka-Star of Life, they're riding an ambulance, if you ask their certification, majority of them are first aiders, not paramedics. Kaya ang tawag na namin dati, parang medics. O, asan na yung mga parang medics natin? Because kahit na nandun ka, first aid lang yung alam mo, pero you really have to deal with mass casualty incident. You really have to put that adrenaline rush. So, lagi po ako nabubuli noon. Hindi ako sinasama sa mga discussions on this stuff. Until such time, I set up the foundation, I set up the school. So, CHEERS is school. It's an EMS school. It's TESDA and those stuff. Wala pong gusto mag-invite sa akin, not even my school, not even the LGU where I belong, because I'm an Ilocana by blood. GI, genuine Ilocana. So sabi ko, siguro ang Pilipino, marirealize lang natin importance ng disaster preparedness, climate change, yung mga yan. Pag nag-mainstream na siya, true enough, from number 9 tayo, most disaster country in the whole world, naging number 5, naging number 3 now. I don't think this is a good news. We're now number 2, most disaster country in the whole world. And there was a lobby signed by President. Hindi lang disaster ang problema natin, safety rin. There's a lot of, risk, vehicular accidents. So, nagawa ng batas si Presidente, minanday yung Republic Act 11058 na lahat ng establishment, small, medium enterprise should have an SO1 or Safety Officer 1, Safety Officer 2. Because why do we have to limit ourselves? Why do we have to be reactive when we can be proactive? So, when we started CHEERS 2008, talagang yung hard-earned money po namin mag-asawa, halos ma-drain na. We want to close shop. Nag-usap na kami na, sige, bumalik na lang tayo sa Amerika kasi siguro hindi pa ready ang Pilipinas on the advocacy that we are doing. 2014, there was this awarding in ASEAN. So they're going to award yung Asian Woman Leader. AIM, through Professor Macaranas, nominated me. So, yung mga finalists, talagang big names. Si Miss Maylin Abiba, si Vicky Bello. Sabi ko, sino kaya sa dalawang itong mananalo? So, during the time, ang secretary is si Gregory Domingo, si President Aquino po ang presidente noon. So excited ako kung sino sa kanila. Sabi ng mother-in-law ko, si Maylin na yan kasi ang dami niyang project. Sabi naman nung husband ko, hindi, si Vicky Bello yan, mami. Wala na lang nagsabi na pwede ikaw manalo, di ba? Oo, wala man lang vote of confidence sa akin. So ako, pumunta na ako sa gilid, sa likod. So may tinatawag na nila yung profile ng awardee, ganyan. Tapos nilagyan na yung logo ng CHEERS, tinawag yung pangalan ko. I was not even ready with the handkerchief. I was crying. Kasi this is the first award that I received after setting up CHEERS. So the rest is history. So we were, even si MVP noon, siya yung chairman ng ASEAN. Who's that girl? I don't know her. So we have to, parang getting to know breakfast, tell about my story, how I survived 3 days earthquake in Baguio City. I was under the rubble for 3 days. On the third day that I was really, alam mo yun, yung tipong it's a matter of life and death, I prayed hard to God that if this is my last day on the earth, God, sana makita yung ng parents ko ang aking cadaver. Para may closure sila because si Papang at saka si Mamang, elementary level lang sila eh. Baka hindi rin na matanggap na yung bunso nila namatay na or mag-wish pa sila na buhay pa ako. So nag-astral na ako. So separate ng aking body and soul. So ito nakakatuwa kasi nakita ko mismo where I was buried, then there is this two sniffing dog. Talagang kinakakulan nila where I was buried. There was this, ito na yung mga ususero at ususera. Inalis nila yung slabs until such time they saw me. So yung mga rescuers, si DPR ako wala talaga. Buti na lang ang DOH hindi ready. They don't have enough black bag. You know the black bag? Hindi ba nilalagay yung yung mga dead bodies. Sabi ko nga kay Doc Eric nung last time na nag-speaker kami sa CES board, sabi ko, thanks God to DOH, you're not ready, you're not prepared, you don't have enough black bag. I wasn't put in a black bag, I was put in Burnham Park. And the second day, it rained so hard, my heart starts to beat, and then yun na. So sometimes, galit tayo sa ulan, ulan na naman, ganyan. Pero at the end of, in some other part of the world, there are some people who's asking or praying for water, for rain. And that was one of those are me. So, noong na-revive ko yun, noong nabigyan ulit ako ng second life, I promise to God na I would dedicate it to saving lives, to capacity building, sustainability, and so on and so forth. So, hindi ganun kadali. Because there was no EMS school, there was no pre-hospital school. Ayoko na mag-nursing noon eh. But alam mo naman hindi ako mag-aral. So, kung tinapos ko yon, pagkatapos ko pumunta ng Amerika, doon ako nag-EMS, doon ako nag-paramedics. It is where I hone my skills. Nung bumalik ako dito, I'm ready. I don't want to be bullied. So 2014, that was in Myanmar. After the awarding, in-award yung first Asian Movement Leader. Siyempre, 10 country yan. Yung isa 85 years old from Vietnam, parang Mother Teresa na itsura. O siguro ito ng pananalunin, di ba? Kasi 85 years old na siya. So yun, nung in-announce, it was Rico Hison, ang host nun. So nakatingin siya sa akin. Sabi niya parang, kasi tinawag yung second runner-up, first runner-up, di walo pa kami nasa baba. Sabi ko, hindi na siguro, kita kami ng banyo. Tapos pinabalik kami. So habang binabasa ni Rico Hison yung profile, pinalabas nila yung AVP. So we had an AVP, it was an AVP wherein I was the one narrating how we've started CHEERS. So ito na nakakatuwa. Media, what industry you're in? Kasi di ba woman leader, are you into skincare, beauty care, lingerie, whitening, anti-aging? So, paano ko ba sasagutin to? Hindi ko alam kasi hindi yun ang industry ko po. Sabi ko, I'm into capacity building on disaster preparedness, emergency response. I'm into sustainable livelihood program. Sabi na, oh wow, it's not demure, it's not sexy. So, it's not easy. The industry, I prefer to stay. Kaya nga,
so what was that one thing, Sandy, one thing that made you overcome all of these challenges? What's the one thing?
Well, every time I want to give up because there's so many challenges every day. One thing that parang push me to on my perseverance is this is my ito na yung promise ko kay God na ito na yung parang yung commitment ko sa kanya nung binuhay niya ako nung second time. Sabi ko nga nung nag-guest speaker ako sa St. Louis, siguro kaya binuhay ako ng Diyos kasi during that time virgin pa ako, sayang naman, di ba? So yun, so aside from, kasi di ba in Women's Month, as a woman, there are 3 things you have to do in life before you leave this earth. First, you have to bear a child. Second, you have to own a farm, plant a tree. And third, you have to write a book. So through RD, page 16, parang feeling ko nagawa ko na yan. So pwede na ako mag-pass this earth.
Thank you
So,
so much.
so yung commitment ko sa Diyos, minsan hindi, yes, as a social entrepreneur, hindi importante sa akin yung figures, kung kumikita, kung ilan na yung gano'n. Pero what's important for me is hindi pinapabayaan ng Diyos ang kitchen. I was able to send my kids to school. We're happy. We're not, yun yung sabi nila, hindi mayaman yan kasi Montano yan. In-laws ko, yes, mayaman sila Montano, sila sa Cavite. But kami ng husband ko, we are living in a very simple and decent life. So ganun lang po. So what makes me happy is because of CHEERS. So, yung pangalan ng Cheers din, parang it's God's given word to me. Happy, we propose a toast, we say kampayan, we say cheers. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandy. Wow. Overwhelming story. Okay, now, Dylan. Dylan is featured in chapter 12 and 30. He has 2 chapters in the book because yours was quite a journey. And when I sent you your chapters, you wrote to me and you said that the hair of your arms were standing because of what you read and what maybe you realized what you've been through. So my favorite part of the book, retelling your story, is that one day you ask yourself this question: God, why did you make me rich? And when I read that, I said, God, why can't I ask that question also? Because you were once UK's top 9 or 10 richest. And so, can you take us there? Was that your biggest challenge, not knowing what to do with your wealth?
You know, if that's the biggest problem you face in life, you may as well leave the earth already because there's nothing left to offer. So, yeah, my first business in England was computer games, and it was very successful. I didn't go to college, I didn't finish high school, but at the age of 20, I was able to borrow some money from Prince Charles to start a computer game business through his foundation. He lent me some money, and it became very successful. So within 5 years, it was on the London Stock Exchange. I was listed as one of the top 10 richest people in England. But it felt very unfulfilling. And I was in the Beverly Hills Hotel one night, and I realized I had everything I could possibly dream of. But it felt like it was all pointless. And I started to understand the difference between pleasure and happiness. You know, pleasure always has a price tag. New clothes or new car or something, but happiness comes from your relationships, and especially knowing that you're fulfilling God's purpose with your life. And I felt like I was not fulfilling God's purpose with my life. So that's why I prayed that question. Lord, why am I rich? It felt so unfair. I was not doing anything good, just computer games. And I felt him calling me to leave my company. I went all over the world, eventually came to the Philippines through a Filipino friend of mine, to see Gawad Kalinga. So I spent 6 years as a volunteer with Gawad Kalinga, and over 6 years managed to give away all my money. And it was a lot happier giving it away than getting it in the first place. I felt like God had really opened my eyes to the reason He'd given me that blessing. And 10 years ago, my wife, Anna, and her sister, Camille, they came up with the idea for Human Nature. And they wanted me to be involved. But I was saying to them, well, I don't know anything about lipstick. I don't know anything about dark underarms. That's for you to know, you know? And they were saying, no, you have to help us. If we're going to start a business, you have to be there. Well, at that time, I was the happiest I'd ever been in my life. I was in Gawad Kalinga full-time as a volunteer. And in the end, I said to them, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll pray about it. And I thought, there's no way God wants me to stop working in Gawad Kalinga to make lipstick. That is crazy. But to my horror, when I started to pray with an open heart, I really felt Him calling me to be part of it as well. And so we decided if we were going to do it, it would not be a regular business, but it had to be a business that was entirely for God's purposes. And so we knew nothing about what we were doing. We didn't know anything about formulating, nothing about manufacturing, nothing about business in the Philippines, but we decided we will do it a different way. And so we started talking to friends of ours who were business people here, and they all said, look, this is not going to work, because we said, number one, we want to regularize all our employees. No contracts. Number two, we're going to pay almost double the minimum wage. Number three, no work on Sunday. And they were all telling us, this is crazy. Sunday is the busiest day of the week for selling. You can't regularize everybody. They will take advantage of you. Why will they work if they regularize? A lot of people saying things like that. But we felt God telling us to do it. Anyway, it's been 10 years now. We're 600 employees. The minimum salary we give to our cleaners, to our messengers, to our warehouse people, minimum 21,000 a month. Um, they work 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. We have a no firing policy. No firing, can you imagine? Because if God does not give up on us with all the mistakes we make, we cannot give up on the people He sends. And again, every business person thinks that's a crazy idea, but it works. When you're working with the poor, their whole life they've been told you're nothing, you're worthless, you're useless. They believe it. But when you say to them, hey, you messed up, but we will not give up on you. You are family to us now. That's life-changing to them. And so it's been 10 years of God's faithfulness. The verse that is guiding us is John 10:10, where Jesus said, I came so they should have life and live it to the full. And we want to do that in the workplace. And imagine if everything you know about business is wrong. Everything we've been taught, that it's survival of the fittest, that you have to be mean, that you have to be tough. We wanted to try it God's way. And after 10 years, it's been a walk of God showing His faithfulness to us over and over again. We didn't know what we were doing, but He sent the people who could help us. And this is my dream for the Philippines, that every Filipino will be regularized. Every Filipino will have decent income. And I cannot be rich if my workers are poor. I will have failed the Philippines. And so it's been a beautiful, beautiful 10 years. And I honestly thank God every day for bringing me here to the Philippines.
So you can read about Dylan's story here. That's why he has 2 chapters. Well, thank you so much for allowing us to feature your story, and very, very inspiring. Yeah, Dylan was one of our speakers in Salt and Light. We met before, and he would tell the story of how at that time there was no human nature yet. You were just working full time for Gawad Kadina. So it's been a pleasure seeing your journey. Thank you so much, Dylan. And finally, yes, Secretary Juan, you've heard all the stories, and we've been together also. Now, as DTI Secretary, being in government, what has been the biggest challenges for you, and please tell us some stories about that and how have you been able to overcome it?
Yes. First of all, congratulations, Ardy. Another baby born. So, parang twins ito. The baby, congratulations, Miriam and Ardy, on the new baby, and this time around, another baby. So, well, hearing the stories, time and again, of course, marami sa kanila, kasama na natin in the advocacy. Basically, these stories are the ones really inspiring us to continue the advocacy. So, many years ago, I was just a plain, corporate guy, trying to build brands. Dr. Ned helping us also build brands. The father of marketing research teaching us how to do it. So, a lot of challenges, puro corporate and how to build business. And similar to Dylan's story, parang nagkaroon din kami ng parang opportunity na, wait, hindi naman puro business, hindi bottom line. So the advocacy that we entered into was entrepreneurship advocacy, trying to hopefully inspire and also teach our kababayans nationwide, conducting free seminars, and you are all part of that. Many of you as lecturer, at the same time mentors, and we've been doing that for the past, I think, 13, 14 years. It gave new meaning to being in corporate. So daytime I was doing corporate job, but of course, sometimes in between, di ba, we do conduct seminars in Bukidnon, Zamboanga, Valencia City, and then up north. So parang mas fulfilling, no? Buti na lang, I had of course the permission, kasi si Joey was of course the Go Negosyo founder, na of course supporting the advocacy. So we were doing this advocacy since 2005, and along the way we met many of you, telling inspiring stories, because we're thinking that for people to really move up in life, kailangan ma-inspire din sila muna with many amazing stories, sa mga kaibigan natin. I also see Les at the back, another amazing story, Les Reyes of Reyes and Cutters, and many more. No? So I think we have over 200 in the community and it's still growing. Once you hear their stories, you get inspired, and many of them are also, at the stage of giving back and telling their stories and mentoring micro SMEs for them also to succeed in life. And eventually we, along the way we find our purpose, our whys, and tingin ko yun yung parang happy entrepreneur, no? So parang naging happy entrepreneur tayo. So that advocacy, actually, wala naman kaming plano, or wala akong plano maging DTI. So that advocacy led me to DTI because every time we were in Davao, we invite President Duterte, then Mayor Duterte, to be one of the speakers, opening speech and message, and very inspiring. So we got to know each other, but I'm not really, a very close barkada. Parang kaibigan and kakilala. So when he took office in 2016, usually yung mga DTI secretary nanggagaling yan sa PCCI, mga president ng PCCI or big chambers or big companies. But at that time, I remember sinabi sa akin ni Bongo, ang hinahanap nila someone really pushing for SMEs, working on micro, small, and helping people at the countryside. Kasi nandun talaga, if we want to really change Philippines, uplift more people out of poverty, and ang naging advocacy nga natin, and which I carried on sa DTI, basically enhanced it a bit more. So sa DTI, I carried the mandate, trabaho, negosyo, and of course I added consumer protection. I had to watch over consumers also. So hindi lang SME, but basically attract more investments para create jobs, or kung walang trabaho yung tao na yon, turuan natin magnegosyo. So he will also have another chance to move up in life. We believe na each person na mabigyan ng trabaho, mabigyan ng negosyo, pwede nang mawala sa poverty, mawala sa kahirapan. And so one soul, one person at a time. And pinagtsatsagaan natin yon doing these free seminars and mentorship, and then doing it time and again, and establishing institution. Of course, at the DTI, given the resources, we're able to multiply what we're doing in Go Negosyo. Now we have 1,000 plus negosyo centers. There are institutions helping us. May mga offices, may the whole organization of DTI, parang nag-fourth gear sila sa SME development. Dati parang first, second gear lang kasi ang trust nun usually big businesses, industry development. Now we're able to do industry development, manufacturing growth, innovation, creative, etc. But always SME at the side, and sometimes even content center. So it's become really a major program in the department and of course of the government. So again, poverty alleviation, trabaho, negosyo, kabuhayan, and then of course consumer, tinutuloy natin. So that basically is what's keeping us busy, na parang what's making us happy. And I must add, happy entrepreneur, kung tayo yung nasa negosyo or kami sa gobyerno, nasa serbisyo, happy entrepreneur, happy consumer, or happy constituents. That's how we see it. And of course, pag happy na yung consumer, eventually happy din yung entrepreneur. Kasi mas maraming market, mas happy yung constituents mo, mas happy din sila sa servisyo mo kung ikaw ay nasa government. So that's how we look at things. So, kaya napaka-relevant ang libro na to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nakakabusog. Well, I don't know if we have time for